Happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. We're getting ready for some fun listener questions on today's show, but reminding you that the auction for Give Kids the World is live right now on the Be Our Guest podcast Facebook page. So drop in today and bid on those items for the great folks down at Give Kids the World. And we'll see you on Saturday, either here on the streams or in person at Give Kids the World, 10 to 4 Eastern. Can't wait to join you for that fun. But today, listener questions, Scott joins me and we talk about how to get ready for your first Disney Wish cruise. Lots of questions about Disneyland and first-time Disneyland trips. So we talk about some expectations there and give some tips. The order to visit the theme parks for a VIP tour down at Walt Disney World and one good Walt Disney World sit-down meal for a first-time visitor. This and much more coming your way on today's show. Don't forget, our podcast always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure, and the best part, no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And again, thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys allow us to keep doing the show. I cannot thank you enough for that. You can support us as well, just $5 a month. It's like a cup of coffee a month. And you keep the podcast going. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd sure love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2651 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from beourguestpodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you're having a great week here in March. Getting ready for a great big weekend down at Give Kids the World. So please do join us either in person or here on the streams on Saturday from 10 to 4 Eastern. As we raise money for the great families down at Give Kids World. We're going to have a great auction. It's going on right now, so check it out on the Facebook page over at Be Our Guest Podcast. Just look it up again on Facebook. It's the pinned post. You can get some awesome items. All the money goes to the families at Give Kids the World. So let's make a difference for those families down there. And we're going to kind of have the culmination of the week, 10 to 4 on Saturday. Pam and Ricky and I will be at the Village. Scott will be on the show with us as well, remotely. So the four of us will be together for 6 hours, having a great time, draft shows, all kinds of nonsense, and your calls as well. So Saturday is going to be a big day, but we got to get there. And today we're going to do that with listener questions. That's what we do on Wednesday. So joining me today, Scotty G up in the mitten. Scott, what's going on? Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you. I mean, I love the fact that it's still kind of light out and we're recording right now. Like, you know, it's a sign of things to come with spring in the air. We're going to be, gaining an hour of daylight here really soon, which I love that. But yeah, excited to answer some listener questions on early March.
Losing an hour of sleep, but
losing an hour of sleep, but getting an hour of daylight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good trade. Okay, so we were talking
Take a nap
pre-show,
somewhere, right? Take a nap in between.
Somewhere, exactly. I don't know, maybe like 3 weeks from now, but we'll see when I get to do that. But so this weekend, we're celebrating 17 years of the Be Our Guest podcast because we started the show in mid-March of 2008. So we've been doing the show continuously for 17 years. So we'll celebrate that on Saturday when we're all together, maybe with a pub sub or something. Who knows? That's how I'm going to be celebrating it. I don't know how everybody else will. But here's the deal. We got talking in the pre-show and we started talking about, this is what Scott and I do. We talked about Letterman. Letterman turned into Johnny Carson, and we started talking about Karnak. Okay, so if you remember, if you've been with us for a minute, back in 2014, we used to open the show with Karnaks. We had users submitted Karnaks, and if you are younger, you have no idea who Karnak is. Johnny Carson used to do it. You probably don't even know who Johnny Carson is, for one thing. If you're younger, you're like, who's that? He was a late night guy that would come on like at 10:30 in St. Louis after the news and did the Tonight Show. He did like the late night talk show. Just look him up on YouTube. He was hilarious. My grandpa loved him. Anyway, he had this thing. He put this hat on, this Karnak hat with like a feather out top, and his sidekick was Ed McMahon. Like it was the 2-man crew, right? And he had these envelopes, and his sidekick would hand him an envelope that was sealed, and he'd hold it up to his head. And he'd open it up and go, whew, and like pull it out and read this thing. And then you had to figure out what the three things, Karnak knew what the three things had in common. So I'm going to give this to Scott here and see if he can be the almighty Karnak here. And kind of Disney related Karnak here. So the answer is, I'm going to pull this out here. I don't have a hat on, but
I mean, you have a howl hat on.
I mean, yeah, I do have a howl hat, but it's not as cool as the Karnak hat. So I'm pretending like this is an envelope here. So, all right. So we have 1971, 1982, 1989, and 1998.
Those are the years that the four main Walt Disney World theme parks opened.
No.
71, 82, 89, 98. What?
Yes. No, that is incorrect because, again, this is coming out of 2014. This is when this was submitted. This was January 10th, 2014. That is, what is last month's weekly totals of the magic bands found at the bottom of Typhoon Lagoon's wave pool? Yes, that's a good one. See, that's what Karnak was all about. How many magic bands are found each week at the bottom of the wave pool at Typhoon Lagoon? See, I love that. I mean, that's high quality humor right there.
I mean, you want it to be challenging, not obvious. Like I went with the obvious answer. Not I should have known better.
Yes. So if you have one, you could submit it. We could keep this rolling and have fun like that. So, all right. So let's get to the first question of the day. Yeah, that was maybe not worth the squeeze. The juice was not worth the squeeze, as they say. But we'll you know, that's my problem is I'll just keep squeezing. That's what we do. Jason up in Michigan, who's joining us on Facebook Live, says, buddy, just booked our families a 7-hour VIP tour for spring break. That is a good friend.
Sweet.
That's a good friend. What park order should we do? Thinking Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, then Magic Kingdom. I would definitely end at Magic Kingdom because that'll be the most crowded. Nailed it.
I would base it on like which park opens first.
Yep.
Well, it was 7 hours though. So if it's 7 hours, then it's not necessarily all day, but I'm basing it on, okay, the first park I want to go to is the one that closes first. So I would go to Animal Kingdom and rip through things there. Then I think Jason's got it nailed down, Mike, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I would do, because I would have Epcot and Magic Kingdom third and fourth. Yeah, so I would do, that's exactly how I do it.
But my tip would be to maximize time. I believe your 7 hours starts
when they pick you up in the vehicle,
guide.
when they pick you up, where you meet them. I mean, sometimes you can meet them in the park.
And that's where I was exactly. What I was
meet
them
in
say,
the park.
So if you can meet them at the park instead of meeting you up at your resort, you're going to lose some valuable time there, I'd say. So I would meet them at Animal Kingdom at whatever time, and then boom, that's when you start, and bam, you're already in the theme park. That would be my strategy.
That's a great tip because I've seen people get picked up like in the vans at your resort, but I mean, then you're wasting 20, 30 minutes in the commute. You know,
take a bus or drive over to the park or whatever, and then you save 30 minutes of time there, basically.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do it like before rope drop or anything because you're just killing time there. Like I would totally do it 7 hours. So when would you?
If it's 7 hours, you almost might want to do Animal Kingdom as like your normal park touring, and then meet them up at the end of your Animal Kingdom time, or at the next park.
So you got a VIP tour guide, right? So would you do this like at park opening at Animal Kingdom, or would you do this like later in the day and like close down Magic Kingdom? Think about your
that's what I'm saying.
Sliding scale. How would you do this?
I would do like some normal park tour. I would probably do my normal park touring day.
Like at noon? Would you start at like 2 or 3? Would you want to close? So would you want to do it on the back half of the day so that you close out at the end of the day?
I'd want to close out at the end of the day because maybe they can like put me into like a good fireworks viewing for Happily Ever After or something like that, you know?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because I mean, you're not going to have the fireworks as part of the VIP tour, but what a way to end, right? To maybe have it end at like 7 or 7:30, and then maybe grab a snack and go see. Even if you can't get into VIP fireworks,
I mean, they might be able to sneak it where they do the dessert party fireworks, maybe depending.
Yeah, I mean, tip them.
I mean, and you should always definitely.
I mean, you're gonna give them a tip, but I mean,
you got a tip.
Slide them a little extra. Be like, hey,
a little something for the effort.
Exactly. What can we do here? What can we do here? All right, we got Elizabeth 24 over on Instagram. Any tips for a first timer going on the Wish? So somebody going on the Wish for the very first time. One thing I would say is I would look at deck plans and kind of get to see like what the Wish has to offer. I think that is one of those ships that it is kind of, it's a little choppy. And so you're not intuitively going to get to kind of find things like the hero zone. I think that a lot of guests will never even know where the hero zone is. It's kind of by the Marceline Market, and there's kind of a hidden staircase, but it's a cool area. You know, it's like a multi-purpose room that has air hockey tables, foosball tables. They do a lot of kind of fun events up there for the kids and for families. But if you don't know it's there, you probably won't come across it. So look at the deck plans, I would say, pre-cruise, and check that out. That's one thing totally with the Wish.
One thing I would say too, even if you're not like a cocktail drinker, like I think exploring the lounges is a really cool thing. Because they're so well themed. So even if you just hop into Nightingales and just sit around, order a water, or just like even like look at the decor, I think that's really cool. Hang out at the bayou. That is my favorite part of that ship. For both times I've been on it. There's great like live entertainment happening there. There's great crew members. It's a beautiful area. So definitely try to explore those areas. Even if you're not a drinker, there'll be like a mocktail that you can get or something too. I think you'll be impressed by the theming of those lounges.
Yeah, and going along with that, I would say there's lots of live entertainment like they're in, Tiana's Bayou that, like in the afternoon. Plus, in the afternoons you can walk around and just, even if nothing's going on, like, because a lot of times, mid-afternoon, say from like noon to before the first seating at dinner, a lot of times that's where you have your trivias happening. Sometimes there's tastings going on in the lounges and stuff. But if you're not even partaking in that, that's a good time to maybe take a deck of cards or a board game and sit in one of those venues that's not being used, or those common areas like kind of above the atrium. It's like deck 5, I think. Mm-hmm. And there's some little tables and chairs that are just beautiful.
I love those.
And relax and just enjoy the environment for a half hour. So I love that.
And even if you forgot your own board games, here's a little tip for you too. At Keg and Compass, they have games in there.
Yes.
So my family did that too. We played scat. They had the Categories game, which we love to play at home. Hard to find a good travel set of that these days too. So we just like went in there. Now they didn't have any pens or pencils, so we just got on our phone, on our notes app, on our phone, and that's how we like typed our answers, but it worked out so great. So even go to Keg and Compass, you'll be surprised at some of the entertaining games they have there too.
Oh, Mr. Mike Bankhead's joining us live on Facebook here in the chat as we record, and he says air hockey. He's an air hockey fan. So if I think the Magic might have air hockey on the ship, and we are all sailing together in July. So I'm sensing possibly an air hockey or maybe a foosball tournament at some point. Yeah. It's going to have to happen.
Emily and I love the air hockey and foosball on the Wish. So we spent a lot of time doing that in the Hero Zone. So watch out, Captain.
There will be some kind of a table game tournament.
He will be the captain of that ship.
We will have some kind of a pub style table game tournament during the cruise for free ice cream at some point.
Enjoy the ship. Like, I think it's a beautiful ship, and first time, like, just go to the restaurants. I'd say too, like they're really great. So, I don't think that many people skip on the restaurants and go to like the counter service, but I think it's really important to go to the restaurant, go to the main dining every night, and you'll just have a great cruise.
Marceline Market, good food. It's good stuff. So was out of the dining restaurants, the 3 main rotation dining, was 1923 still your favorite?
Oh, so that was my first time dining there. This last time because I missed it, and it was the best like main dining food that I've ever had. I'm not talking like Palo or anything, but like out of your like normal like restaurants, and like comparing it to the ones that we did on Royal, 1923 was the best meal I've had on a cruise for a main dining perspective.
I do like 1923 as well. I'm a fan.
Really good. Their filet was actually like a really good filet. Now, like you go to Worlds of Marvel and you get the steak there, not going to be as good as the 1923. Still good, but like not as the same level. So 1923, definitely do not skip that meal. It's so good.
Yes. That in the Coco restaurant. I like that one on the Treasure, but it was because it was Mexican food. I mean, it's like, come on, man. If every meal could be a Mexican meal,
I actually thought the food was really good on our last time on the Wish. I thought it was better than our first sailing. Like, just really enjoyed it. Maybe it helped that we had a really good serving team too, but like I was really enjoying the food on the Wish for sure.
I think a serving team makes such a huge difference.
I think so. Yeah.
It's weird. Like it doesn't make it. I mean, the food obviously is
you want them to be engaged. Sometimes like, and they're all good, but some teams are a little more engaged than others. And we brought it, like we let them know right away. We had the energy, like bring it on, And so Elizabeth, if that's your style, like get with your serving team right away. Let them know like, oh yeah, we're wild. We like this energy, you know, and they'll bring it and it'll make your meals even better. I know it's a weird thing, but it's true though.
All right, we got a question here in the inbox from Mary in North Carolina. It says, you and your crew have such a positive, uplifting podcast. I can tell how many walks, I can't tell you how many walks you've been on with me over the last few years. Thanks so much. She has a question about Disneyland. My husband and I are Disney World veterans, having been dozens of times over the years. Our first trip was the summer of 1976 for the bicentennial celebration, and we celebrated our 50th last year with daughters and grandchildren at the parks. I, too, bought an invisible dog back in the 80s, like listener Cindy described. Did you hear that show? It was a Monday Trip Report. You
might I have not heard that one yet.
Yes, we talked about, again, you're a young pup here, but back in my day, and apparently listener Mary's, there was a toy, like this thing that everybody had to have for like a hot minute. It was called the invisible dog. You probably don't know what I'm talking about, but my buddy had one across the street and I wanted one. It was like a leash that was on this kind of like hard wire and had like a collar on the end of it. And the gig was that it was like an invisible dog. So you take this thing out all around the neighborhood and it was like you're walking a dog, but there was no dog. It was just like basically like a rigid leash with like a collar at the end. And you would say you're walking your dog. But and apparently they sold these things at Walt Disney World.
Okay.
Because my buddy had one. I never had one. And I always wanted one. Anyway, the invisible dog trick. Anyway, back to the email. But now, you got Karnak and an invisible dog on this show, people. You're already getting your money's worth. But now we are headed to Disneyland for the first time. I understand that you have to make park reservations on the app. But I have heard lightning lane procedures and park hopping are completely different. You mentioned you like to head to Fantasyland at Rope Drop, which we will do. But did you try their lightning lanes? What other advice do you have for optimizing time? Being on the East Coast, this may be our only trip, so any advice for novices would be appreciated. Also, can you share a couple of favorite restaurants in the area where we can sit and have a relaxing mid-meal day? Thanks so much, Mary. All right, Scott, lead us off here. What do you got?
Well, Mary, I think I heard 50th anniversary like a couple of years ago or last year. So congratulations on that.
Absolutely.
That is awesome.
That's amazing.
And finally making your way to Disneyland. You're all grown up now, so now you can go to Disneyland.
And by the way, we're just going to say this off the top. It's probably not going to be your only time after you go the first time. It's not. I've been 5 times.
Right. I mean, she clearly listens to the show because Fantasyland is where I always like to start. We all know Alice in Wonderland is my favorite attraction to Disneyland. And I definitely done the lightning lanes. You've even done some lightning lanes or like
I do them every trip. I do them every trip. I mean, because the thing is, it's different at Disneyland, right? So even when I stayed at a Good Neighbor Hotel, when I've stayed at the Grand Legacy, I've stayed there once. I've stayed at the Howard Johnson this past trip, but I also stayed at the Disneyland Hotel. That's my favorite. You like to stay at Grand Californian. I just buy it all. It's a package, right? Out there, it's still part of your package. So when you buy your package, you can build in your park hopper and your lightning lanes. Boom, all just part of the package. I just do that. I just click it on, add it to the package, and you're set. And the lightning lane is it's so beneficial out there because, again, I say it's because of the density of the park, the attractions, because you can walk literally from the back of Disney, from like Toontown, which is the back of Disneyland, to, I don't know, Pixar Pier, to Incredicoaster, or wherever the silly Symphony Swings, it's probably the furthest apart. It may be 15 minutes at a leisurely pace. And so you can just, with the park hopping and the lightning lanes, you have so many attractions at your fingertips all the time. And it's amazing. You can do so much. It's just like, it's like being a rock star. You can just do so much.
It does. And like, even if you're not park hopping, it's so beneficial, but just even at Disneyland, because the attractions are so close to each other too. And it's just, it works out so well. So I'm for the same reason, Mike, I just bundle it all into a package because I don't have an annual pass out there. So I'm getting my room, I'm adding all those things. I want to get my photos too, which is included with that too. That's an important thing. Mm-hmm. So we definitely recommend it. It's really easy to use too. Very similar if you use that at Walt Disney World, you check into an attraction and then boom, you can start making the next one, trying to find the availability for that. And I always find, Mike, maybe it's because, it's Southern California, a lot of locals go there, so not everyone's buying it in the park. I always find the availability is really good.
I agree. And here's the other thing that I like the system better at Disneyland is that it doesn't kick in until you check into the park. That's when the lightning lane system starts for you. So when you check in, like when you go through the gates, the touch points at Disneyland or DCA, that's when you make your first lightning lane. So I prefer that. I mean, because like if you're there at rope drop, boom, you're getting going. You know what I'm saying? Like you get your jump when you get into the park. Now you don't necessarily need them. Like that's the whole thing is you're going to get return times immediately. And like at Disney, even at Disneyland at rope drop, you don't need that. But what you could do is like book an Indiana Jones or something for later because that's going to fill up pretty quickly. But you are like, if you go to Fantasyland, you're just going to walk on everything at Fantasyland within the first,
especially if you're coming from the east,
minutes.
you're going to be waking up early. So you're going to be ready to go. Like,
yes.
Like I'm not a super early riser as Mike. Like I'm an hour behind Mike, like in real life. And he still like wakes up before me, but not by much. But like you just find yourself waking up so early out there those first couple of days, so you'll be ready to go for rope drop without a problem. So that's why I say I agree with Mike. Like book some of those for later. Definitely start booking them when you hit the touch point when you're into the park. But just breeze through like Fantasyland or go to Adventureland and like do Indiana Jones and Pirates right away and all that. Oh, I want to have a Disneyland day now, Mike. I'm just like getting excited about it.
And the thing is, for a first timer that's been to World this many times, like Mary and her husband, and like they've had all these great experiences at World. Like I am not kidding. That first time when you're in Fantasyland at rope drop at Disneyland, you will honest, because I've done this like 3 times now, and all 3 times I've been like, am I in a Disney commercial? Because there is just something, it hits so different. Because the characters all come out. If not the characters, they'll be like the marching band, and like Bert will be dancing with them. Every time there's live entertainment in Fantasyland at rope drop in the morning, there's something happening.
I'm always seeing like a battle of Captain Hook and Peter Pan happening.
It's crazy.
And all
I'm
this.
like, am I, or like somebody's riding like Alice or the stepsisters or something, or on the carousel. And the thing is, like, it's so open. It's like all the attractions kind of are like in a courtyard, kind of like if you're on Toad, you can see over to you can see the carousel, you can see over to Snow White, so you can see the action even as you're waiting in this 10-minute line. It's not very long, and it's just it is like being in a commercial for like that first 45 minutes of the day. I mean, you have to be in Fantasyland. It's so cool.
I've even rope dropped and rode Storybook Circus first. Like the Casey Jr. Like, I love that thing.
Oh, God, it's so cool. So they're looking for a couple of sit-down restaurants that they'd like to just kind of relax midday. So what would you...
I like the Lamplight Lounge. I think that's a great chill spot. It's kind of funny we're talking about this on a live show we did recently, Mike.
We did. But so that'll come out tomorrow on the feed.
I just love sitting outside, especially like when I'm at Disneyland, like beautiful weather. There's something about just being outside. I can't do that very often in Michigan. You have like a couple month window. It's either too cold or too hot, I feel like. But in Southern California, really great weather. So I love sitting outside at the Lamplight Lounge, looking over the pier. That is my spot for sure. So I recommend that.
And I will say again, we had this discussion. You'll hear it again tomorrow because Maria was out there and she was posting some awesome stuff this week in the clubhouse. So again, if you're not in the clubhouse, come over there, and it's in the live feed, the live from Disney Destinations feed, which is awesome because we always have somebody somewhere posting great pictures and like live trip reports. And she was talking about, and we had this discussion, like, I think she's more of a foodie, and the Disneyland is not. It's more of we had this conversation. Like, we think it's more of like a counter service versus table service destination because I think it's more of a locals park. But it's more ambiance, I think, at the table service restaurant. So a couple places you might want to take that midday break, but still have a table service. Carnation Cafe. I mean, you get an opportunity. If you get an outdoor table, you can dine outdoor on Main Street, USA. And it's good food. I enjoyed the food there. Our waiter disappeared that day, which was unfortunate, but it was.
I've had some really good meals at Carnation Cafe.
Yeah, I liked it.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. Actually, sadly it's one I forget about sometimes, but it's like one of my favorites. Like Walt's Chili. I had one of the best chicken sandwiches of my life there before. Yeah, such a great spot.
I'm glad you booked that for us because I wouldn't have known. And that was our first trip out there. And that was one of my favorite memories. We were sitting on Main Street, USA, just watching people go up and down Main Street and like have a Walt's Chili. I think
it was like 4th of July too, or something.
I think it was. I was like, God, am I like again? I was like, am I in a commercial? Like, this is the best. It was, yeah. And then of course, Blue Bayou was amazing for me. I love that. I was just like, dude, I'm sitting in Pirates. This is so cool. So yeah, I hope you have a great time and just let us know how it goes because it is so fun. Okay, John has a question over here. John Price, thanks for tuning in over on Facebook. Bringing my daughter and her boyfriend for his first ever trip. We're going to do one sit-down meal. Any recommendations? They're 22, and we're staying at Old Key West.
Ooh, Old Key West. That's my home.
I know. And I'm not going to say Olivia's, even though that is the jam.
I know if they're doing one sit-down meal, I'm not going to pick Olivia's. But...
Dude, you're setting me up on a tee there with Olivia's, but that's probably not if you had one. Okay, so I guess they have park tickets. So let's assume they have park tickets. John's still in here, so let us know if they don't.
I think I'm going to take him to Disney Springs, though, because you're on the Sassagoula staying at Old Key West. So I think I'm going to pick Boathouse, Mike.
It's a good place. I agree. 22.
So I will say that the menu isn't like super unique, and there's a lot of oysters. If you like oysters, definitely.
Oh, dude, I could not do oysters. I see those things. I've tried a lot of things, but I cannot get past that. Not me. I'm too miserable.
But it's a wide menu. One of the best burgers I ever had is at the Boathouse. I love those filet like sliders that they have too, Mike. I know you've had those a few times.
Oh, those things are awesome. They're the cheapest thing on the menu too.
Yeah. But I just love the location of like. If you can get it, if the weather's perfect too, you can like sit outside and look over the water, look over at Sassagoula. You see the amphicars like in the water too, and plus you take the boat ride over, which is I think fun. It's fun and exciting. So I don't know why I'm kind of thinking Boathouse for this trip.
Okay, you got Boathouse. They do have park tickets. John came back and said they do have park tickets. So I'm trying to think of like one place in a theme park that might be because he's a first timer, right? So you're trying to kind of blow his socks off with a meal.
I don't want to blow their socks off too because they're 22, so I don't want to do like a crazy like signature meal either.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something though that's got a little bit of theme to it. You know what I'm saying?
So how about a San Angel Inn?
I like
that. Like in Mexico.
I like that. Would Space 22 be too crazy?
Space 220?
Dude, I can't even remember. Well, what am I? Dude, today's been the Mondayest of Mondays on a Wednesday. I know it's Wednesday on the feed, right? You're listening to it. We record on Monday. It's been a Monday of a Monday, and I still got a lot of Monday to go. But I know it's Wednesday. I'm just confusing everybody.
I mean, the theming is cool.
That'd be kind of fun. Yeah. Like for somebody that's never been to Disney, like I know that everybody's like, maybe it's not worth the money. But I mean, for somebody that's never been to Disney, that'd be a pretty cool experience. Like you go up the space elevator.
Would you want to do a character meal for dinner, like a Crystal Palace for dinner, or?
Yeah, that'd be fun. I mean,
because,
if
like
you're into the
Disney, right? A character meal is Disney.
If you're not into the characters, dude, that's a lot because there's gonna be a lot of kids in there. You know, they're 22. You know what I'm saying,
that's
dude?
True.
If you're not, it depends. Like, I mean, you got to be the certain like demographic to be.
But that'd be kind of fun. Like here's this young couple and they're seeing Winnie the Pooh and family. You know, like I don't know. That's kind of fun. I think.
Yeah, I mean, for the right person, it's perfect. For the wrong person, dude, they're like, I've made life choices. Like
I'm gonna stick with. I stand with Boathouse. That used to be like a hashtag back on Twitter back.
I agree. I agree with you. I think the Boathouse is your safe bet because they can just take a nice boat ride, good food. I mean, great food, and just a good meal. I'm with you. I think Boathouse is the right answer. I think you're good there.
I mean, actually, all the Disney restaurants are so good, so you can't really go wrong here. But I think we're just gonna go with Boathouse and call it a day.
Yeah, I think your flyer would be Crystal Palace. That's high risk but high reward if they're really into the characters, though.
There you go.
I like that. Anthony over on Facebook, tuned in live. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We have an ADR, be our guest in the Magic Kingdom coming up in a few weeks. Have either of you gone there before? If so, what do you recommend? Now, I bet we've both been there. You've been there more recently. It's been a long time for me. Yes. What'd you have?
Yeah, so I like it. Funny, we were talking about Be Our Guest the other day.
We were. This will come out again tomorrow. Yes.
So it's prefixed now. So what I like to do, I actually brought off the menu because I had a feeling Mike was going to share this question. So I do like to get that French onion soup, but I'm a sucker for French onion soup. Theirs is really good. I like doing that. And I'm a meat eater, so I always go with the filet. And I think the filet is really, really tasty there. Honestly, it's not going to be like Narcoossee's or Yachtsman level good, but like just a smidge below it. So I think the filet is a really great one. I'm trying to think if my family has ordered anything other than that. I think they've done the short rib before, and they really have enjoyed that. But I would go the filet and the soup. And It's kind of weird at Magic Kingdom. You can order an alcoholic beverage in that restaurant, which is, I still feel kind of weird about that sometimes. But I have ordered like a High Life, Cigar City High Life. But you can get like a glass of wine or a beer in there if you wanted to as well. But which could go well with your filet. But gotta do the soup and the filet for me.
And that's exactly what I had, because I had the French onion soup because it was on like theme, right? I mean, you're dining in
absolutely
France. Be Our Guest Castle with the bell and everything. So I got the French onion soup, which was really good. I get that on the cruise line. It's
really
too.
good there.
One of the was it Tritons or one of the ships, Lumiere's. Well, there's Lumiere's on the Magic, but I think it's Tritons on one of the other ships. But they have really good French onion soup. I think it's actually Royal Court, maybe. They probably all have good French onion soup at some point throughout the cruise. But yeah, and it was really good there too at Be Our Guest, and I got the filet, and it was really good. I'm not super picky on steaks, but it was really good. But that was years ago. I need to get back there. That's our restaurant. I haven't been there in years. So
it's cool. I love the theming in there, as we talked about the other night. It's just I will just say, like, people hang out in that restaurant.
Yes.
So if your ADR
because it is so
7,
cool. I mean, it's hard not to, especially if you get in that ballroom where it snows. I mean, that is amazing.
Right. If your ADR is for 7 p.m., it might be 7:40 before you get seated. I'm just saying, like, they are always behind schedule unless if you have the first ADR.
Yes. Let's see. Oh, George is tuned in, going back to Disneyland at the end of May. He says he can't wait. Rock on, George. Best hair in the running squad. Best hair in the lizards. Oh, he also offered Summer House. I haven't been to Summer House yet. I need to make that happen, man. That place looks really good. You haven't been there yet, have you?
I have not been there yet. No.
I know that place that's a great replacement.
People talk about their cookie bar.
Yes, I know. That's exactly it, dude. I love cookies. I am a cookies fan, so I got to get there.
I mean, you really literally love cookies on Castaway Cay.
Well, I love cookies. Deuces. Yes, I do love cookies. Let's see here. We have a question from Will May Insta. Again, love reading Instagram handles because I never know where the breaks are. We're taking our family friends next week to Disney World for the first time. Epcot's our first park. What ride should we have be their first ride ever? Kids are 3 and 5. Current plan. Spaceship Earth. Maybe. Everybody's going to go Spaceship Earth first, though, because it's first. It's like that.
It'll be the first ride ever? Is that what I'm reading?
First ride ever. 3 and 5. Here's mine. Frozen Ever After.
I like that answer. I was going to say Ratatouille.
Or Ratatouille. Because its characters are going to know. Like, Ratatouille, they'll know from the movie. Frozen, they'll know from the movie. This kills me as an educator. Like, if you take them on Living with the Land or Spaceship Earth, maybe a little bit too much on the edutainment side right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know they won't reach the height indicator, but I don't know if the 3-year-old will be tall enough for Soarin', because Soarin' could be a good first ride too, I think.
Soarin' could, yeah.
I just don't know about the height. Oh, Nemo's another good one.
Yeah, Jason offers Nemo.
So here's some Scotty G trivia, Mike. So Epcot was the first Disney theme park I ever went to. On our first trip, flew down, checked in the Caribbean beach, and had a struggle trying to find our room because we didn't know how the internal bus transfer worked. Remember back when
you had the customs house? Was that back in the customs house? Dude, that was the weirdest thing ever. Same here with me my first time.
A cast member looked at us and just picked us out of a lineup like, you guys look confused. We're like, yeah, we don't know how to get to Jamaica.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Where am I? Like, is this
so they took us and he picked us up in a white van, took us right to our room. It was awesome. And then swam and did all this. And like, Liz was like, where do you want to go? Like, this is before Fast Pass Plus or anything. Like, you just theme park reservations. Like, well, let's go to that big ball. Let's go to Epcot. So that was where I went first. What do you think my first attraction was in my history of Walt Disney World?
So you're at Epcot?
I'm at Epcot. Entered like around 6:00 at night, I'd say.
Test track?
Nope. It wasn't even a ride. That's why I said a track. I was trying to hint at it a little bit.
Wasn't even a ride. It's 6?
Yeah.
Mexico and got some nachos. I don't know.
No, American Adventure was the first, my first attraction.
I like it, dude. That's great.
I love it too.
But isn't that so funny? Far back. I mean,
you think about Walt Disney World and like all the things. My first thing I ever did, and Emily too, was American Adventure.
You passed all that stuff and went all the way back there. Like,
well, we had dinner at Tuto, so I think we're trying to get back.
I was gonna say, like, how did you pass all that stuff?
Yeah. But yeah, so like that's always fun for me when I. Because I love that show too. Like, I love sitting in that theater, and I always think back of that. It was the first thing I ever did at Epcot at Walt Disney World.
I do too.
But I don't think that should be the kids one.
No.
That's what I'm trying to say.
No.
It was my kid. It was my 3-year-old's first thing, but I don't recommend that.
Yeah, I would just say something with like, I think especially 3 and 5-year-olds, a character that they're going to recognize would be engaging. And Nemo's a good one. Like that's because there won't be a long wait. You can just, and it's really, you can get to it quickly once you enter the park. Just hang a right.
I mean, I kind of want to say Spaceship Earth, but like you'll be able to ride that later in the day.
I agree. It'll be quicker ride later in the day. That's a good one to go to. Like when everybody starts heading to World Showcase, pop back up to. I'm still calling it Future World. I'm sorry. I'm old.
I still call it Future World.
All right. Cindy's got the last question of the day over in the inbox. You can check her out. She is Cindy Lou 75 in the clubhouse. She's up in Toronto, Canada. She says, hey, Mike, Pam, Ricky, and Scott. First of all, thank you for such an amazing community and fantastic resource for all things Disney. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. She says, Mike, the energy you bring is the backbone of the podcasting community. Wow. Pam, the knowledge you have from an agent's point of view and as a frequent visitor to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, and DCL is unparalleled. We'll pass that on to her on Saturday. Ricky, your critical and objective insight provides logical and practical points of view.
Let's just say I'm like shaking in my boots.
Scotty, here's yours. I know. Here we go. Scott, your love and passion for the parks and especially the resorts really shines through. I personally love that you have documented every stay, every meal that you have enjoyed. Mr.
I have a problem, but yes. I mean, I remember stuff like American Adventure being my first thing I ever did after eating at Caribbean Beach the first time. I just love the document.
That's why I love Scott. And he is something to talk about. Yeah, that corrects. I would have never guessed American Adventure in 10 guesses because it's so far back. Like you passed a million.
It's about as furthest back you can get.
Exactly. I'm like, what? Anyway, she says, now my question pertains to, this is the Disneyland show. I don't know why everybody's, she says, now my question pertains to Disneyland. It goes in themes
like waves sometimes.
It does.
Disneyland is the hot topic. Sometimes Disneyland is.
It does. I am thinking about surprising my daughter, Anna, who still brags to her friends that she is a podcaster. That's right. She was on the show a few weeks back and she stole the show. And my husband with a trip to Disneyland in August for our 10th wedding anniversary. What are some things we must do, eat, and see? Any special extras that we should consider to celebrate? Thanks again for everything you do. Sincerely, Cindy. Well, if you're surprising them, don't let them hear this show. I better give her a heads up. So, first of all, one of the things I would say a surprise, possibly like a World of Color dessert party. That's a great way to see World of Color over at DCA. Guarantees you a place, not a seat you stand, but it's a great show. It's not a fireworks show, but it's a nightly extravaganza and it's amazing. So that'd be a cool splurge. And it's just you get a meal and you get a spot. So you could go to some place like what's that? Wine Country, Trattori. There's a lot of places you could. I've never eaten there, but I've heard it's a good meal.
I've been there.
Have you done that before?
I have. I did that on our first trip. My gosh, which was 10 years ago this year.
Time is flying, man.
Time is flying. I've had some hit or miss meals at Wine Country, I'll just say, but a nice benefit is those dessert packages, or the dining package. It's funny, Mike. I was gonna say something kind of similar. Do you remember how old is Anna? Is she like kind of older or?
Yeah, she's I could say probably like upper elementary school.
Okay. So I was gonna say like a Fantasmic dining package because I'm a huge Fantasmic fan. I know Fantasmic can kind of be a little frightening for the littles. That's why I asked like what her age was. Be fine. But I think you can even do like a Hungry Bear like package or like even some of the counter services.
Zocalo has it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get a pretty great seat and they're Fantasmic. You're just like right up on the show. Like I mean I love it in Walt Disney World. You got the theater set up, but you're kind of further away from it. But at Disneyland, you're like right up on it. And I just think it's a cool experience. So I think that would be a must do for me.
So that would be so I would think about that for a nighttime spectacular because I will tell you what, man, the nighttime spectaculars at Disneyland are awesome, but they're also highly attended. They're highly thought out and the people stay for those things. Like they're an event. I mean, the locals stay for them and they're not every night either. So you do need to check the schedule and make sure you see when they happen. So check that out. But the must do's, I mean, the duplicate things, Disneyland, just you got to make sure you do them out there. Galaxy's Edge is the exception. I would say you don't have to spend a lot of time in Galaxy's Edge. It's if you've done it at World a bunch of times, I just think, Smuggler's Run's the same. Rise of Resistance is the same. You can cruise through there and check it out. But I mean, you got to do the pirates out there. You got to do, it's a small world out there. It's different. But I mean, there's so many things like like Scott mentioned, like the Storybook Canal boats, like they're so amazing. You might think, oh, it's just a minor little attraction, or the Casey Jr. circus train. That you'll see it and be like, oh, it's just a small little train. It doesn't even go over. It's fun. It's so fun. You got to do it, in the Matterhorn, and just like minor things are the best.
Yeah, my disclaimer to that is, I mean, you're going to Disneyland, so you're going to want to do things, but just know, like, you will be ruined for things at Walt Disney World. So you have to do Radiator Spring Racers, but it will ruin you.
Yeah, it does, man.
We don't know what the new test track is going to be like. But I'll still
it won't be Radiator Springs. Yeah,
the Pirates is fantastic. It will ruin you for the Walt Disney World Pirates. Well, which I still love doing, mind you.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't change I still love doing Test Track. I love doing the Mad Tea Party in Magic Kingdom, but like their teacup, I think teacups are so much better because it's like open air. You don't have like that awning covering it. It's just, oh my god, it's so spectacular. But
it's just there in the shadow of the Matterhorn, and it's like right there next to Alice. I mean, it's just like.
And you gotta do the Matterhorn too, as painful as it is. You still have to do the Matterhorn. Oh yeah, there we go. I got my man Hugh. I haven't heard from Hugh in a long time. Riding the Matterhorn is great for a quick back readjustment.
Popping in from Twitch.
I know. I love the Twitch. I'm a Twitch user, so I love seeing the Twitch comments.
Twitch streamer.
But must do eats. This has been like a common theme for us, Mike. Yeah, we've been talking about a lot of the dining at Disneyland. I mean, a place I haven't said yet because like I think we're running out of options is Bengal Barbecue. I think it's a pretty underappreciated place if you want to just like get a snack or whatever. They do kind of like things on skewers there a little bit, so it's a little bit different than like you're going to like another restaurant. But I really like what they do with Bengal Barbecue there.
Yeah,
and then
I agree.
When we said so many places, I'm sure Cindy Lou is hearing some of these other comments we had on dining, but like, I mean, you can't go wrong. There's gonna be good dining to be had at both theme parks for sure, and downtown Disney.
Yeah, just like we said, just go in, get the park hopper, get the lightning lane, and just have fun.
Just have fun. There's nothing as fun as like a day in Disneyland. You really are, like you say, like, oh yeah, I'm a kid again. Yeah, you really are a kid again.
You are. There's no lie to that. Like you just feel like you're 12 again. I mean, everybody. That's how I feel every time I go out there. It's just awesome.
And you might feel like an old person when you go to the Matterhorn, but as you were saying, like you get your back adjusted afterwards, you feel brand new.
That is true. You feel like a 12-year-old till you get off the Matterhorn, then you feel like you're 97. And then, I go across the way over to Edelweiss Snacks and get that pretzel brat thing. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't eat this. And then I'm good again. I'm like,
one thing I was going to add for Cindy Lou's list though, Mike, and I like your thought on this. Do you think they should do the canoes? Like,
yes, everybody should do the canoes because again, I cannot believe the canoes exist in 2025. That is such a like 1960s thing that I could just see Walt out there with like a canoe and like I don't know, like the 7 old men behind him, like down Rivers of America. Like this is the greatest thing. Like we're in, like they're in coonskin caps, like like in a black and white special on TV, like. But the fact that thing exists in 2025, because that thing can for real flip. I mean, there's like a non-zero chance that thing flips and we're all in the dirty water and the big old Mark Twain runs you. I mean, there's a non-zero chance that could happen. I cannot believe.
I hope someone on the Mark Twain is filming when that flips, just so make a great video.
That still goes on, and that's why I love it. I mean, it's wild. I just every time like Pam, I call Pam like, get ready, go on the canoes. It's the greatest thing ever. I did that with Buckley. Buckley had never been on it. We were out there. He's like, you can really, there's canoes here. Like, I don't think he even knew there were canoes. I'm like, oh, there's canoes. We can go out on canoe. He's like,
you're an influencer with the canoes. Cause I had never, that was something that I never done that you showed me actually. So like you are the Mr. Canoe.
Well, I mean, canoes are a big deal in Missouri. Like we go on float trips in canoes a lot. Like when you're like in college and you have no money, that's like the thing to do in the summer. They're called float trips. I don't drink beer, but a lot of people get like a bunch of like cheap beer and throw them in canoes, and like you get on this old like dilapidated school bus and they take you like upriver, drop you off like 15 miles upriver. You float down all day and they pick you up at the end of the day and take you back to your tent. It's like good $15 for all day. That's what broke people do in Missouri. Anyway, you learned a little. That's a little Mike in the Midwest right there for you. A little mini show. All right, so we're going to jump out of here. We're going to be back on Friday. We're going to do a little PTI style show with a bunch of topics. We're going to that were submitted over there on the Clubhouse. We're going to have some fun with that, and We'll see you on Saturday from 10 to 4. So join us here on the stream. If you want to come by to the village, if you're in Central Florida, please drop in. I'll have some stickers for everybody. So we'd love to see you, but we're going to be donating for Give Kids the World. That's the big thing. So we have lots of auction items live right now. So go over to the website at Be Our Guest Podcast on Facebook. It's a pinned post. Just click that. You can just check browse items. There's pins. There's Dooney and Burks. There's items from Lookout Key. There's items from the Treasure, from the Wish, from all the ships have exclusive items you can bid on. Funko Pops. I mean, if you are any kind of a collector, any kind of a Disney Parks fan, there is something for you to bid on, and you can get some cool stuff. So check it out right now. The auction is live as we speak. So check it out over on the Be Our Guest Podcast Facebook page today. Don't forget, today's show is brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. It's one extra click that supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make the show possible. I cannot thank you enough for that. It's just $5 a month, and you can get a bonus show for that support. It's called Mike in the Midwest. So come on over this week. We'd love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. You can give us a follow on the social media. I'm at beourguestmike on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Scott is at Epscott, EPSCOT, in those same places. But most importantly, check him out on YouTube at Must See Adventures. Scott, what's going on over on the channel this week?
We just got it's our Thanksgiving stay. So at the Fort Wilderness, checking off that last resort on our all the Disney Resort bucket list. So hang out with us as we show you footage of the fort and just what it's like around the holidays, Christmas parties, and all that. It's going to be a fun series at Walt Disney World.
All right, so like and subscribe again over at Must See Adventures on YouTube. We'll check you out over there this week. All right, we're going to be back again on Friday. A lot of fun. So we'll see you there as we kick off the weekend with you. And we'll have the replay of Sunday's show for you on the feed tomorrow. So until then, for Scott, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.